Welcome back inside of Trash Chatter Season 3. I'm your host, Victoria Conway, and today I am pleased to welcome on Josh Levy out of MD Clean. Josh, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm doing great, Victoria. Thanks for having me.
Of course, excited to have you on. I know you've been anticipating this, so I want to start just like we start every episode, just finding out how you discovered trash bin cleaning and how you found yourself entering the industry.
Sure, sounds good. I think I'm like everyone else. To be honest with you, I have two kids, um, four combined, blended family. But my two kids got on TikTok a few years ago, and during COVID, and of course, I had to go in, check it out, see what it was all about. And sure enough, one of the first videos that I saw was about the trash bin cleaning industry, and my girlfriend and I, we talked about it. Seemed interesting. Gave you guys a call. Actually, before I even called you guys, I joined some of the Facebook groups, and obviously that's what brought me to you. And reached out to Joe and your dad. And your dad's story really resonated with me. Very similar paths, both from New Jersey, both working in corporate America jobs. And so yeah, that was really how I heard about it. And things happened from there really fast, right? We talked, we exchanged money, we put the deposit down, and off we went.
It's funny that you said you were from New Jersey. I've never had spoken to you over the phone, so when you started talking earlier when we were off air, I was like, that sounds a little familiar. It doesn't sound too much like Maryland. So that's funny. It's a small world,
Nope.
definitely.
Yeah, it does come out from time to time.
So as you've gotten started, Josh, I believe you got your truck like last fall, right? So this is truly going to be your
Yep.
first full season, warmer weather. What have you come to find throughout this type of work? What have you learned from it so far, although it's just been a few short months?
Every day is something new, Victoria. We're always learning. You're correct. We started August of last year, so we really only operated from August through December. And like everyone else says, this community has been phenomenal. When I first launched, I think I was number 4 in the state of Maryland, and that's one of the big reasons why I jumped into it was not a ton of competition. I live in a pretty affluent area. We're in between Baltimore and Washington, D.C., so a lot of federal jobs, a lot of stability in the job market. And it seemed like a good opportunity. So we jumped into it in August. We had a pretty good season, I would say, trying to figure out Facebook ads and social media and what was really the best way to connect with people because obviously, nobody had ever heard of it. I think going into this year, truthfully, I think there could be 10, 12 companies in the area now. So quite a few that I met at your convention, a couple years ago. And so no direct competition right here, right yet. But, I'm sure it's coming in and I welcome it. I think it's going to be a good thing.
And so far, what do you find most rewarding about this type of work? And maybe talk to us a little bit about your background. I know you said corporate. So was it scary to think, okay, now I'm going to have a truck and it's going to be more of manual labor? And obviously, you can bring aspects from your corporate job to this, but it's definitely an entirely new niche industry.
It is, and I'll be honest with you. I was a carpenter building homes in New Jersey. Came down here, got into the communications field, and I've been in telecom now for 20 plus years. But I think you can take a lot of what you learn in your corporate America job, like you just mentioned. Our company that I work for focuses a lot on collaboration. We focus a lot on smart and fast, tools, technologies, things to make things more efficient. So when I jumped into this, and just to back up a second, right when COVID started, I made an investment, bought an investment property down in Florida, an Airbnb rental property, and that was kind of my first foray into entrepreneurship. And when this came about, my girlfriend and I, we talked about it, and Jess is truly my biggest proponent, my biggest cheerleader, and she was the one, who talked me to get into real estate and talked me into, what a great opportunity this would be. So like I said, we're learning every day. And, last year we had some growing pains, right? We stupid things like where was I parking the truck and where was I dumping the water? Where was I getting water from? How do you even clean a bin, man? I must have called David Sanchez quite a few times with some embarrassing questions, but I know we've all done that, right? And David's phenomenal. But, no, long story short, just the business itself is interesting and it's dynamic and it's always changing because it is so new, right? And so what works for someone down in Florida maybe doesn't work for someone here in Maryland. And so this year is a big focus on growth for us. Last year was getting dipping our toe in the water and starting to get the name recognition out there and the industry out there. And hopefully this year is more focused on growth.
I know a lot of people obviously like to take possession of their system, let's say now, right, in March. But I think there is a bright side to maybe having, like you said, perhaps half a season because you can get those kinks out of the way and truly prepare now for 2023.
Yep. No, absolutely. Everyone wants to capture the revenue and get in and get the whole season. But to your point, it was nice to you get a quick little start, get going, and then be able to, sit back for a few months during the winter. And we went longer than expected. I wanted to shut down at Thanksgiving. We went through to December because people kept on calling, people kept on asking. But then to have December, January, a little bit into February, and really think and network. And I bring up, the local competition. We've all talked, right? It's a close knit community. The local Maryland guys, we've all talked. I started a Facebook group for newbies in the business. Put out a post one day saying, hey, who would be interested in having a conversation? And so many people were interested, and so we set up some Facebook times and a Facebook group and had a couple of Zoom calls and just learning from everyone, man. Everyone's a wealth of knowledge. Everyone's so willing to help. And so, yeah, we kind of have a game plan for this year and excited to see what happens. We're launching in a couple weeks now, March 20th. We're kicking it off first day of spring.
That's awesome. And I'm glad you guys are working together because we tell everyone there's millions of bins out there. One company can't do it all. And at the end of the day, our competition is people still don't know about the service. So that's really awesome to see people
Absolutely.
working together. And I think that probably ties into some of your collaboration background. So I remember when you posted that on our Facebook group and there were so many people writing back saying, we're in for it. So that's always exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. No, there's a few guys that obviously I talk to more often than not, bouncing ideas off of each other and what works and what software works. And, obviously we all have our trials and tribulations of routing software and just, again, social media, marketing and whatnot. So, but no, it's a learning experience and it is a truly great community. And I know your dad, especially as I was anxiously awaiting my truck, I was calling your dad quite often, and he's obviously a wealth of knowledge as well. So
awesome. Now, as you've started your first season, Josh, do you have any memorable experiences with clients when you've been out there cleaning some bins?
Yeah, I'll give you two real quick that I think were, one is I love kids. Like I mentioned, I have 4 kids. I've always been involved in coaching and sports and pulled up, actually took one day I took my daughter out with me. One day I took my son out with me and we're driving through 2 separate times, but really the same story. And we're driving into this one neighborhood. We're cleaning a guy's bin and, he's sitting up on his porch with his 2 little kids and he asked if he can come down and, I can show them how the truck works. And, so I let them, kind of hold the gun with me and do a couple of things. And it's those type of, meetings. We did a farmer's market locally and just letting the kids come and make a mess in the trash bin and then letting them hold the controls as we clean it, seeing their enjoyment. And then, obviously that resonates with their parents, and hopefully they make some recommendations. But, that's a big part of it is connecting with the community, connecting with the kids. And one other story that I think, was, your dad always was a proponent of driving the truck around and getting that visibility. And so we started taking it up to the local grocery store and just leaving it there on Sundays. And this one guy comes out one day and he comes up to me and he starts asking about my truck. And I'm like, oh boy, this is going to go one of 2 ways, right? Either people are like, stupidest idea, would never pay for that, or greatest idea since sliced bread. And the guy loved it. And he happened to be on the board of an HOA. And that HOA happened to have a private Facebook group. And he was like a huge proponent of my company and marketed. I offered them a discount, specific to their community. And I probably have 10 plus homes in that community now, and hopefully more visibility of the truck being in there and more referrals, we'll grow that community. But that's what it is really seeing the people that are, excited and, really think that this is a great service. So
how do most of your clients hear about your service?
We did a lot with, the Facebook ads, a lot of just general social media posting. Last year that was tough. That's what we focused on last year. We spent a lot of money on Facebook ads, a lot of, just effort on social media posting. This year I'm kind of diversifying a little bit. I'm going to do some direct mail marketing. I'm advertising where I live. There's, in Columbia, Maryland, there's a bunch of different community areas, and each one of those community areas kind of has their own newsletter. So we're going to do some marketing in some of the newsletters. We're continuing, a massive push social media and Facebook ads wise. And just this, we got a huge opportunity this year with a couple realtors locally that are very interested in our business, and we're going to work together and support each other. So, I did some sponsorship. My son last year was 12 years old, and his team was going to Cooperstown to play in a baseball tournament. So we sponsored that. Um, but I think it's the typical. It's the social media marketing. It's the bin tags. We put stickers not only on the bins we clean, but as we go through neighborhoods, we're putting stickers on them. So that's probably it. I mean, I think, and then word of mouth, right? Word of mouth is what spreads. We've gotten quite a few referrals, and then it just hopefully spreads like wildfire. That's the goal. That's how it's worked so far.
I mean, I feel like word of mouth is the best testimonial you can ask for. So it's always exciting when people start
Absolutely.
talking about it. As you've been growing, Josh, and obviously, like we said, you've learned a lot. Now, this is truly a full season for you guys. How do you think your company creates value for your customers?
Yeah, I think, I can say the obvious, right? Nobody wants to go clean a dirty trash bin, right? With maggots and loose debris in there, whatever the case may be. Nobody really wants to do that. So number one, I think we're providing a value in the fact that we're doing something other people don't want to do, right? And people get their car washes, people get their houses cleaned. So, why not get your trash bins cleaned? So I think, that's part of the value. And then obviously we want to do more with the community, right? More sponsorship events, more working with the county, other ways to give back again, like the realtor that I mentioned, he's going to offer this service to all the people that he sold homes to in the county over the last couple of years, right? And just try and give them a service and make him really, how do you separate yourselves from a realtor perspective, right? Well, let's offer a new service that people will appreciate. So when people close on their houses, they get nice new trash bins and whatnot. So just, we're truly looking for opportunities to grow and be more involved with the community.
Once again, here inside of Trash Chatter Season 3, Victoria Conway alongside Josh Levy from MD Clean Bins. Josh, as you guys have been growing and getting into this next season, obviously still a couple years away from maybe a 5 to 10 year plan, but I'm sure it's something that you've probably considered, I think, as most business owners do when they first start. Where do we envision this? So for you guys and your team, where do you see this company in the next 5 to 10 years?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I've heard you ask it before. I'll be honest. I don't have a specific 5 to 10 year plan, right? But my plan is, like I mentioned, this year is all about growth. I would love to at the end of this year be purchasing a second truck. And to me, it's yes, we want to get volume. Yes, we want to make money. I have a truck payment each month, right? But it is that connection with the community. It is, so how do we grow that? How do we, I joke around. I'm mid 40s now, right? I don't like talking about leaving a legacy for my kids. I'm not that old yet, but I really do want to grow something that is sustainable, that is kind of a household name, that ultimately one day maybe it is something that my kids could take over. So I think to me, and I also believe in the customer service aspect of this. I joke around and call it like the Chick-fil-A thing, right? I want good customer service. I want to make sure that I clean people's bins to the best of their ability. It's going the extra mile, bringing the bin back up to their house. It's good customer service, just on the phones, on the emails, on the social media. So I think organically, if we do those things right, we're going to continue to grow. And the sky's the limit, right? Is it multiple trucks? Is it buying local companies? But at the end of the day, it's making this scalable, efficient, profitable, and something that the community looks forward to seeing our trucks in their neighborhood each week.
Before we let you go, Josh, what piece of advice would you give to somebody who's thinking about entering this industry?
So again, I could say the same status quo answer that I think most people say is, it's not a get rich quick industry. You do need a lot of capital. I'm one of the guys, I don't have investors. I'm doing this all on my own. I would say, due diligence, right? It's learn about the industry, learn about your community, learn about how many households there are, the demographics that you serve. And just be patient, right? It's not an overnight business. There's a lot of moving parts literally in the truck, right? A big mechanical giant power washer on top of a truck. Um, but it's understanding, the liability, the insurance, the cost, the capital, the best strategies for marketing, relationship building, so kind of all the above, right? I think it's just, but I would say probably the biggest and most important thing is patience and money, right? Because it is you're not going to pick up, 500 customers day one, right? You're not going to cover your truck payment day one. So just slow and steady, right? And keep the focus. I think that's the most important thing is know your mission, know your focus, and stay on track.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for joining us here on Trash Chatter. We appreciate all of your contributions to the industry, your willingness to help others and discuss different strategies. It's definitely noted here at Sparkling Bins. So I want to thank you again for making some time today for us.
Hey, I want to thank you, Victoria. I mean, truthfully, and I'll make it quick, but being invited to this was really humbling. Had no idea that I was going to be invited to your podcast. I've listened to them all. You've had some great guests. So to be a part of this, to be a part of the community, the trash bin cleaning community as well as my local community. And if I could just give a quick second to give thanks to everybody. I mean, again, I'll call out your dad and David and Joe and yourself. Everybody in the Sparkling Bins family has been great. But truthfully, again, I'm going to go to the trash bin cleaning community between the Facebook groups, between my local guys. I wouldn't have done it without all of you. And then I have to give thanks, obviously, to Jess, to my kids. My kids helped design my logo. And one last shout out is to my partner, Alex. My first year in the business, again, we both work corporate jobs and to split our time between creating a business, driving the truck, doing all the things. I mean, it's turned out to be great so far, and I'm so excited to see what the future holds.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Josh. We are really excited for you to enter the second year, and hopefully we'll have you back on later in the podcast to discuss some other things that you've discovered. So once again, make sure to check out Trash Chatter every other Monday. Our episodes release. Check it out on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you get your podcasts from to learn more about the trash bin cleaning industry. And also check out our website, sparklingbinsbusiness.com. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.